Hey guys, in this YouTube video I will spend the first 4 minutes just talking over a very quick slideshow where my comments will be unrelated to the specific pictures, but just going over a bit of a view of the first part of my Saturday, which was at an ITS tournament in the city of Wellington. I live in Auckland, New Zealand, which is about 1 hour flight up from Wellington, both in the same island, of course. Anyway, went down with my Yuching Imperial Service, played 3 rounds. First one was Supremacy, followed by Supplies, and then Antenna Field. Had a great time playing against two Wellington opponents who had played several times before in War Machine events and who you've seen bat reps on my YouTube page for War Machine. But yeah, so first 2 rounds were pretty straightforward. I managed to win them up against people who weren't really as proficient at Infinity, hadn't really played as many games as Infinity, and didn't know the rules as well as I did, so the games were pretty straightforward. But the third and final game had me up against the one other guy coming down from the same city as me, Isaac, who plays against me every Thursday. Well, maybe not Thursday, but sometimes Tuesday. And you've seen him with his Pano against me many times before. But just in general, really had a good time at this event. Stayed with my friend Chris. First couple of games, I'll just quickly mention them. You're seeing the photos now of me against Corregidor in this very Hakislam city-style terrain set. It was Supremacy, and my opponent had a Wildcat Link team, Brigada, Intruder, just the normal Corregidor stuff, and hung around in one corner of the table, allowing me to easily go through and secure quadrants with my second turn. He won the lieutenant role and decided to go first, which gave me an advantage because second turn is very good for this mission. Also had a couple of fun moments with Guangxi hitting several guys with the chain rifle. But in general, not a super eventful game, just in terms of knowledge. Hey, here are a few photos of the terrain layouts. You can pause the video if you want to, just have a look at them, but density was really good. I was happy with the terrain tables, and that was a lot of fun, and a lot of people had some really nice custom-made stuff, so that was really good to see. Also some really cool signage, Get Burger. If you check out the forums in Infinity of the Game forums, if you look in the miniature painting section, I've posted a thread about Prisma. You can see if my Prisma stills featured there. Game 2 against my buddy Scott Avery, who I've played a lot in the War Machine scene. He's a pretty good War Machine player. He's running Bakunin, so these red remotes, very remote heavy army, very reliant on the overclock ability from the Evo repeater, which is new to this expansion of Infinity. I managed to try and engage his prowler. I think it might have been a prowler or a zero, trying to go for the supplies. Didn't quite manage it with the ninja, but the Guangxi came along and shredded him, so managed to pick up that supply crate, and then the crane went to town on everything else. So the crane Sophitek combo actually doing really well for me at the moment. Managing to heal him after he dies, and then just keep going after them with a 5 round, 5 burst Spitfire. So I ended up wiping out everything but a few models and easily taking the supplies at the end of the game for a massive lead. Yeah, so that's the first 2 rounds. Interestingly enough, there were 12 people with only 3 rounds, so it was very hard to determine a winner. But at the top of the rankings were myself and my buddy Isaac down from Auckland, who I play regularly, and also Chris, who you might have seen featured in my bat reps from the last ITS event, where I was up against his Aleph. But Chris didn't get drawn against us the final round. It was me against my buddy Isaac. So, without further ado, just going to go into a bit of a look at the actual game, and we'll do the proper still by still look at them. Here's the game table here with the classic Infinity mat. It is Antenna Field. I won the Lieutenant roll off and picked second turn right off the bat, meaning that he deploys second, chooses the table side he wants, and gets to go first. So he's going to be perhaps inflicting some damage here. And my deployment has the Link team centered over the building, the bottom of the deployment you can see here, and the Guangxi scattered around the field. The other image shows you the right-hand side field here, where we've got a Sophitek at the right, Canron Fort Observer at the top right, and Guangxi again on the right-hand side flank. Next up, there's the reserve trooper which goes down, which is the Rui Shui. So that's hopefully going to link up with some help from the smoke grenades from the Link team as usual. And then he's got on his side quite a lot of drones, quite a lot of remotes, that is. The double auxiliary team forward observing, just as you normally do. Got a Bagmari, NIS, HMG, and a lot of smaller troops. So more of a solid list. I think 15 or 16 orders in this one. On the left-hand side, you can see his NIS, HMG, plus a lot of prone troops on the building. Fusilier Lieutenant. He's got a hacker. Doctor and engineer hanging around, so it's all looking pretty good. He's putting down his reserve trooper at the moment, which is a bulleteer. Going to the next photo, you can see where it is. Since he's got first, it's going to be easy for him to move out, and hopefully I can avoid a lot of carnage from it. Then you can see I've got my sniper here, which is not prone. I decided to leave him available for some AROs just to see if I could cause some damage and prevent him from being too audacious in the first move out. Of course, first order of the game, NIS HMG has a go at it, and he managed to win the face-to-face roll, and I managed to die. So unfortunately, not unconscious, just fully removed from the table, so the Sophitek won't have a chance to revive him. Then he decides to move out with his auxiliary link team as predicted, just to move on to the objectives so that it puts pressure onto me in my second turn, in my responding first turn I should say, to clear him out, although this particular antenna is behind the total cover of this building, so it'll be harder for me to get to. And of course the other auxiliary link team moving out to the opposite side. If you can imagine in a field, there's one objective on your deployment zone, one in the middle, and then two on the left and the right. So both auxiliary teams are going to the left and the right side, flanking position antennas. Then he moves around the corner with his AUX and attempts to flamethrower me, but the Canrin completes an engage, so engage is also a dodge. So then the Canrin goes into base-to-base contact with the AUX bot. So he decides just to light me up with the NIS. Doesn't really care about his own AUX bot and shoots me to bits, getting rid of the Canrin and destroying the AUX bot at the same time. So I don't really mind that trade too much. I mean, I did need the Canrin, but the Canrin was going to get attacked by the auxiliary bot anyway, so I made that sacrifice just in case I could survive or cost him some extra orders. But it will be easier for me to get rid of that auxiliary trooper now that the bot is gone. Another overview here, you can see where he's situated the bulleteer next to the objective room in the middle of the table. He's also got his other drones spread out and getting into position to protect his auxiliary team. Then he's even decided to move out one of his sensor bots into the middle of the table and move an engineer next to the objective here. So my opponent has decided to put specialists, 4 specialists in fact, on all 4 of the antennas. He's only ignored the one on my deployment zone for obvious reasons. And I felt like this was an overextension play. I felt like strategically he shouldn't have put so many specialists out into the field, because they are right out in the open, and I've got an entire responding turn just to kill a lot of specialists. And even if I don't manage to score 2-0 at the end of the first game round, I will have chewed up maybe 3 specialists, which leaves some fewer specialists to put into the antennas later in the game. So I felt like this was an overextension play. Now onto my turn. We're moving around with the Guangxi. It gets running straight into the Spitfire, which is in suppression fire mode, and the auxiliary team, of course, are able to shoot at me. So all I really managed to achieve here is just to fire off against the AUX bot, but I don't think I managed to do anything with this particular Guangxi. The next Guangxi moves around and attacks the sensor bot and suppression fire on the main objective, involving a bit of a firefight there. And on the right hand side, we've got another Guangxi moving around and actually having a go at the forward observer on the other scenario. So straight away, all of his specialists coming under attack by my Guangxi. Next image shows you the Hexa sniper coming out of hidden deployment, and I was surprised that he decided to reveal a Hexa sniper in hidden deployment just to kill a Guangxi. I felt like this was a misplay because he didn't need to reveal it at that time, and what he could have done is just saved it until such a time that I moved a important specialist out to move on to the antenna as you would normally plan on happening. And that would have been a more opportune time, I feel, to have revealed the Hexa, but he decided to just use it to kill a Guangxi, so there you go. So now, of course, we bring in the Crane. And the Crane is not in a 5-man link team anymore, just a 4-man, because we've lost the sniper. But that's still Blister Skill 13 with 5 dice and an X-Visor. So he just instantly moves around, well, instantly I say, progressively, systematically moves around and kills the Hexa with machine gun. takes out the engineer in the enemy antenna, takes out a forward observing auxiliar. Eventually, we get rid of the sensor bot in the middle of the table as well. So there's already three specialists dead, and a hexa, not a hexa, a NIS HMG dead. So the crane is going to work as he's expected to do, but that's just a consequence of my opponent putting the guys on as specialists. Moving next to the photo here, we're standing up with the lieutenant of all troopers just to try and get a firefight going against the sensor bot, but that didn't really work, so I went prone again. I couldn't really draw line of sight to it with the crane after all, so that's what I had attempted to do. So going to another image here, the Guangxi, who's been shot into dogged mode, moves forward and continually shooting at the sensor bot until he destroys the sensor bot in a bit of a trade here with the chain rifle and the suppression fire. So that is the central objective cleared as well. Then on the right hand flank you've got the Spitfire from the Rui Shui moving out. And Rui Shui with marksmanship level 2 upgraded onto it easily wipes out the remaining engineer in the distance, since the Spitfire from the crane actually couldn't get to it. So I lied in my previous description of what happened there, but no matter. The Ruishi now moves out and is able to go towards that objective. And over the next image you can see my own sensor bot moving into play and moving on to the antenna. Don't forget the Pano forces already have one antenna on the left hand side which has not been assailed by the Guangxi successfully, so it's 1 against 1 after this picture has been taken. Then you've got the Rui Shui moving to position to fire against you can't see it in the photo, but there is a Hexa sniper which I revealed earlier. So the Rui Shui easily able to deal with the Hexa sniper given that he's ignoring cover and TO camo. So heading on 15s, Hexa sniper tries to dodge but gets wiped out with shock. So that is why you don't really want to reveal the Hexa too early when there's a Rui Shui still available on the table. Also not pictured, in fact, if we go to the overview here, this is the end of game round 1. The crane was able to destroy the ODD bullet here with a lucky crit, but 5 dice, it's a bit easier to crit. So let's have a good look at this photo. 4-man link team still alive. Rui Shui in suppression fire on the right hand flank there. I've got a waving Yaokong sensor bot on my antenna at the bottom of the photo. To the left, behind that orange crate next to the armory room, the objective room, he does actually have one auxiliar forward observer behind full cover, so it is a draw. 1 objective point each at the end of game round 1. So let's move on. At this point, an Akali combi rifle appears next to the Yuching HVT. I attempt to turn around, change facing dodge with the Guangxi and the Rui Shui, but fail that. So then the Akali moves up next to the blue crate and tries to gun down the Sophitek, which manages to survive with no wound incapacitation and fails guts behind the crate. So this puts me in a better position to survive with the Sophitek. Then we have the Bagmari pictured at the bottom left of this image, firing at the Rui Shui with his HMG, easily destroying it. So that's good night to the Rui Shui. Then again we have the hacker over here. What is he doing here? He's putting enhanced fire, marksmanship level 2 on one of the sensor combi bots at the top right of the photo. Not easily pictured, of course, very blurry. So then it's moving around, and if you look at the top left of this image, just moving through the alleyway between the objective room and the room adjacent to it, and that's going to be able to get into a forward position again, just replacing the previous sensor bot that Pano lost in their previous turn. Then we've got the Doctor moving out with a helper pal bot to the unconscious NIS HMG, which will revive him, bringing him back into the game. Now, moving over to my turn. This is the responding Yuching turn, and we've got the Guangxi moving around to have a fight against the Akali, and with the pistol actually nailing him in the face. Just a point blank crit gets rid of him. So that's a pain in the neck out of the way. Crane's still alive, so Crane moves around the corner and starts gunning down the sensor bot in the distance. It's very blurry so you can't see it, but this is the sensor bot with enhanced fire, so shock ability, is also in suppression fire. and unfortunately he rolls a crit. So the crane actually gets killed at this point. Now it's not vulnerable to shock because it's a two moon model. So the crane can be restored by the Yudbot, which is up the ladder. If you can see it at the top right of the image. So going to another image, we're trying to get rid of the sensor bot at this point with the Quangxi moving out there, and at the same time, when the crane was actually attacking there, the Link team was taking advantage of the short skill moves to bring a hacker into range of this antenna on the right hand side of the photo, so that's going to get me onto 1 point. Now we've got the Link team also using the smoke light grenade launcher from the Celestial Guard to lob a smoke grenade right in front of the Ruishui there and onto that objective. So this is going to be quite significant. The next photo shows you that the Sophitek's moving out and moving the Yudbot into range of the crane, which heals him back to a point where he's only lost 1 rune rather than unconscious state. So that brings the Link team back together with the crane coming back alive. I can reform the Link team correctly. Now the Sophitek moves over and not only restores the Ruishui, but moves into base-to-base contact with the antenna. So that's really going to help. The Ruishui's back up and running, should be able to help me out with orders in future, and also cause my opponent to have to try and gun it down again. So there you are, looking at it, looking good of an overview here. We can see I've got my home base antenna, and the Sophitek's got 1. I've gunned down the specialists on his side and in the center. He still has the forward observer to the left though, so it's 2 points to 1, putting me up 2-0. So the score is now 3-1 because we both got 1 point in the first game round, and I got 2 points to the 0 in the second game round. So I'm leading 3-2. Now we've got the Bagmari in his turn, moving around and easily with his HMG managing to shoot the Sophitek to death and wiping out the Ruishui yet again. So pretty easy for him to strike back like that. Then we move the Doctor into range of the antenna, allowing her to try and hold on to it in the final turn. We've got a paramedic Fusilier moving around the side of the building. His plan is going to be to go right around the side of the building so he comes within range of my HVT, so we can try and dominate the HVT and get a point. Then we've got I think a lone Quangxi coming under attack. Oh no, this picture shows you correctly what's happening and where the distance is between the HVT pictured at the bottom of the photo and in the bottom right. You can see his paramedic, how it's situated there. One thing I didn't realize is that to complete the HVT classified, you just need one of your models within 8 inches of their HVT, and it doesn't matter if they have also models contesting, like in War Machine for example, and so long as your HVT is clear of enemy models, then you win on that classified. Bit of a zoom out, he's decided to put his NIS HMG into suppression fire, his lieutenant into suppression fire, these are indicated by the red poker chips, Bagmari HMG into suppression fire, and he's only got his Doctor and his Auxilia in close combat, or in base-to-base contact with the antennas. So what I do is I move around with my one of my last Quangxi in my final turn and shoot the Auxilia with his pistol, 2 dice to 1, managing to win the firefight and kill him with a crit, no less. Then I've got a Celestial Guard with a light smoke grenade launcher putting down a smoke grenade next to the central objective. I have no visible specialist yet because he's killed my hacker. So then what happens is I've got the crane moving around here to fire at the Doctor, so that wipes out the model that he had base to base with his objective. The return fire does manage to kill the crane, but I've killed the Doctor pretty convincingly, so that only leaves him with 1 specialist. Leaves him with 0 specialists because I've killed the Auxilia team. And then finally we've got the Ninja appearing from hidden deployment and moving through the cloud so that he's within 4 inches of the objective. The other troops can't discover him, even the NIS decides to hold, so I decided to just move next to the point here. And in the final photo moving the Ninja right next to the objective. Now, I was counting on the fact that the NIS didn't have line of sight, just because it's so difficult to see past that white crate on the building. But after looking at it and carefully checking, I'd agree that he did have a small sliver of line of sight, so that allowed the NIST to try and shoot at the ninja because the ninja has to reveal itself to claim the objective. I attempted to dodge, but failed it, and he shot the ninja. So that means in the final game round we have no specialist next to the scenario points. The antennas, he's got the HVT classified, so he gets one final point, making it a 3-2 victory to me. So that was enough for me to actually not only win the game but the tournament. It was very, very close. Chris was the runner-up with with also 3 wins, but not as many tiebreaker points. So yeah, had a good time. Ironically, the hotly contested final game was between the two people who had travelled to a different city. So the two people from Auckland, playing for the victory. But it was really good. I managed to win a Krakot Renegade, so I'll be putting together and playing him in my combined army. And hopefully I can show you some of those bat reps from the combined army very soon. Thanks for watching, guys.